So it's Frida, leader with It Works, and tonight I wanted to spend some time with y'all and spill some tea. And by that I mean just discussing honestly what my journey has been like with It Works, how I got started with this company, and how it's affected our family. A lot of people are very nervous about starting a business like this because they just don't know what to expect. So I will talk about my journey. So I started this business, and by that I mean just I'm discussing honestly what my journey and so in life with It Works, how I got started. Whoops. Okay, I'm still getting the technology thing down, so forgive me. So anyhow, okay, I started this business back in 2013. It was March, end of the month of March, I started, and I was a full-time employee. I worked as an academic advisor for a local university. I had 3 young children at the time. They were all extremely young. The youngest one had just turned 1, excuse me. She had just turned 1 in February. I was working full-time. My husband was also working full-time. And, you know, when my friend was posting about this whole thing, I honestly thought it was fake. I was like, shh. Please, you know, I saw the before and after pictures and I just thought it was fake and it was crazy and I didn't want anything to do with it. And quite frankly, I remember being pretty mean about it to her. You know, I called it fake, I called it water loss, and but she was nice about it, and she asked me if I would like to host a virtual party or something like that. And I was like, what the heck is that? But sure, that's fine. Let me learn a little bit more about it. After the virtual party, I still was completely confused. I wasn't really sure what had happened. And, but I did know that I was very interested in those pictures that I saw. At the time, like I said, I had 3 children. I had had my 3rd C-section. And when I went to my doctor to discuss my belly, because I had lost weight, but my belly just was not going anywhere, I went to the doctor and I asked him, you know, what can I do? I've been losing weight, eating healthy, you know, but it's not going anywhere. And he told me, unfortunately, you know, the only way that I was going to be able to improve on that area was through surgery, which broke my heart because there was no way that my family was going to be able to afford that. So, you know, I decided I was going to live the rest of my life in 3 layers of shapewear every day. And yes, 3 layers of shapewear, that is not comfortable. So if anyone at my old job ever felt like I had an attitude with you, it's because I was uncomfortable all the time. Okay, so, and then I thought to myself, you know, let me go ahead and try it. So I talked to my friend on the phone and she brought up the whole business idea. I don't want anything to do with that. I just wanted to try the product. I'm not a salesperson, as you can tell. I say a lot. I'm just real silly. I like to have fun. It wasn't for me and I had no experience in sales. So I kind of discounted it and put it out of my mind. And then something happened in between that. So here's where it gets really real and where I don't typically talk about this kind of stuff, and really nobody does because it's personal. My husband and I were working full-time at professionals, both college educated. He was the academic advisor. I was an academic advisor. He was the admissions advisor for the same school. On paper, we made decent income, and you know, we should have been pretty well off. We were doing well for ourselves on paper. But with 3 children, young children, all 3 of them were in daycare, we were paying about $1,800 a month in daycare alone. And by the end of the month, we had nothing. So like this time of the month, every month we had nothing. We had no savings. You know, it was just like praying to make it to the end of the week, when we would get a paycheck that we could use to cover our bills and that we could use to put food on the table, put gas in the car. You know, it got to a point, it was so bad where we would have to map out our travels for the week to ensure that we were going to make it to and from work. You know, that's how, like, it was bad. And if anything was outside of that route that we had already come up, which was home, daycare, work, and then reverse. If anything was outside of that, we didn't do it. We didn't go. School, you know, the skate parties and stuff that the children's school would do, we didn't do it because it was outside of that travel. And we had to, you know, preserve as much as we could. And, you know, we didn't talk about that. Also, you know, just keeping it real. Yes, we were working. Yes, both of us were working full time, but we were so broke after all the bills were paid, after everything was covered. We had to use food stamps to keep food on the table for our family. I never talked to anybody about that, because not to say that it's something to be ashamed of, but it's just something that I felt like it makes no sense for two college educated people who have done everything right, who are working a professional job, to have to use food stamps to feed their children. It wasn't something that I wanted to openly admit. So then when my friend started talking about this whole business thing, I kind of threw it out of my head because, number one, I barely had the money for us to make it with gas during the week. If something happened with one of the cars, the car broke down, if family didn't step in to help, we were stranded. You know, that's how bad it was. And we were literally living paycheck to paycheck all the time. So when she said I put it out of my head, because I don't have startup money, $99 to get started? No, that was a lot of money. It could have been $10, and that would have still been a lot of money for us. And mind you, remember, we're two college educated, working professional jobs. On paper, it looked like gravy. We should have been well off. But after you've paid all your bills and everything that you have to take care of, you have nothing left. And so the only time we really ever enjoyed anything was on Friday night after work. We would take the kids to downtown Tampa, Curtis Hickson Park. We lived in Tampa at the time. Loved that park. And then we would buy them $5 pizzas from Hungry Howie's, two. And that was our splurge every 2 weeks, every pay period. And we would do that with the kids. And that was our fun as a family, because that's really all we could afford. So getting back to, you know, the whole business thing, I said to her, you know, I talked to her on the phone, my friend, and I asked her some questions. And I asked her, well, you know, how are you doing with this whole thing? Because I had done another company that sold makeup. Won't go into the name because it doesn't matter. But I didn't do well because I'm not a salesperson. And I felt like with that company, I really had to be a salesperson, and that's not me. So I lasted, what, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, not even, in that company. And I did it twice. Once when my son was first born, and another time when our second child was born. So anyway, I talked to her, and she said, well, you know, I am able to pay, or I have been paying off some of my wedding vendors with the money I'm making through this business. And I thought to myself, wow, that's awesome. You know, that's pretty good. And then she was like, oh, but my upline, you know, does way more than that, but this is her full-time gig. This is what she does full-time. And I said, okay, so I can do this part-time and bring in a little extra. And all I'm thinking in my head was, how much more fun we could have if we earned an extra $100 or how I would not have to go to the director of my children's daycare yet again to tell her we were going to be late with our payment and if she would let us slide because we still had to work. You know, and Miss Alberta, I will always be thankful to that woman. We were late, sometimes 2 weeks behind on our daycare, and she would still let us bring our children to daycare because she knew, you know, if we couldn't pay, then we couldn't work, and it would be, you know, a worse situation. I mean, it was rough, and you don't talk about that. No one talks about that type of thing because it's personal, and it's a little embarrassing, but whatever. I'm going to keep it really real tonight with y'all so you know where, you know, we were coming from. So I, you know, thought about it, slept on it, waited about a week. Then I called my friend. I said, okay, I think I'm going to do this. And what made me say that is because I realized every pay period we'd say, okay, this time we're going to save $100. But something came up. And it just never happened. We just could never save. And I thought, if I don't do something different, nothing is ever going to change, and we're always going to be in this cycle. Always. So I on Friday I got paid, and I was supposed to pay our electric bill money. Like, it was our electric bill money. I was supposed to pay our electric bill that morning. But I sat there and I really prayed on it, and I was like, you know what? I could pay Tico, or I could take a risk. And I thought, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? Okay, look, it is Friday. So even though our bill is due today, they're not going to shut it off during the weekend. So that'll at least give me till Monday to contact maybe my mom or my brother or somebody that can help cover. So I'm going to use this money, and I'm going to do it, because if I don't, nothing will ever change. We're always going to be here. We're always going to be spending the $10 every 2 weeks for Hungry Howie pizzas and a free concert at the park with our kids. And that was going to be it. Okay, so I did it, and I called my husband on his extension at work, and I told him what I did, and he was not happy. He was like, what? What did you do? You need to make that money back now. You need to call your friend, cancel, have them refund it immediately, or you need to make your money back. So I remember that 4 of these crazy wrap things came in the box, in the starter kit that I had purchased. And I got to emailing every single person that I knew and in the office that moment. It was like 5 minutes after I started. And I took before and after pictures that were in the team pages that we had at the time, downloaded them on my work computer, watching my back, make sure the boss wasn't watching. Y'all like my set it off, braids right, it's cute, professional in the front, and set it off in the back. Anyway, don't judge. I'm keeping it real. And so anyhow, getting back to that, I emailed, what, 10 people? Just, hey, look at this. Do you want to try it? And I had never tried the wrap before, ever. I still wasn't sure if it actually worked, but I knew my husband was upset and I had to make the money back. 7 people said they wanted to try it. Y'all hear that? At work. 7 people were like, yeah, I'll try it. I didn't have any product yet, but I told them, okay, come on over to my desk and prepay for it, and I will reserve it. Once it comes in, I will, you know, give it to you. First of all, I couldn't believe people actually were like, sure, I'm gonna come, and you know, dropped off their money. And I don't know if y'all really understand how that feels when you have been struggling for such a long time, then you take a risk on something like this, okay? You've never tried the product, and people say yes. Now all of a sudden, not only did I have my light bill money back, but we had a little extra. What? And this was during a pay period where rent was due. So rent was being paid out of this. So I already knew we had nothing going to be left over. So now all of a sudden I have an extra $20. That felt amazing. Like incredible. Because we had never had any other way to do that. Make extra money. What was that? It was you got paid what you got paid, and that's what you used, and whatever you don't, then oh well. So at that point I was like, wow, this is incredible. Where can we take this? Where can it go? So then, I at work, 15-minute breaks, I was in the bathroom wrapping people. Lunch, I cut my lunch into 30 minutes because the other 30 minutes I was in the bathroom wrapping people. And I was bringing home extra money while working my regular job, right, to the point where my boss at the time had to stop me and go, listen, Frida, so I know you had come to me for a promotion and all, and we couldn't do it. But lately I've been noticing people are coming over to your desk and sliding you money, and you're sliding them something back. I don't want you to get fired. I know you need your job. What's going on? And I had to laugh, but I told her about what I did, and she ended up buying 2 wraps from me, like right there on the spot. And then it got to a point where, my husband and I were talking, and we decided, maybe I should come home. It was Save Daycare, and I really just want to be home with my babies, okay? Because I had been a stay-at-home mom for 4 years, but it got boring. I got bored. I got frustrated, and I felt like I was being taken for granted. So I got a job. But then I got the job, and I was like, oh my God, this is awful. At first it was great, but then I was like, no, I really just want to be with my babies. And I realized I really just wanted the best of both worlds. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but still be able to earn my own income. So, my husband was like, right? He was like, okay, maybe if that's what you want to do, okay. But knowing me, I just, I was like, hey y'all, I'm done. I gotta go. I can't take this anymore. I really can't do this job. It's sucking at my soul. I feel like I'm dying in here, so I gotta go. And I did, and I walked away from the job. It was scary, but I did it. And it's funny because 2 weeks later, I came back to that same building where I had the job. I set up my first little vendor table, and I had my 2 youngest with me at the time, 2 little girls. And I believe that day I came home with over $1,100 in cash, selling wraps and facials to people just in the building. And I saw my former coworkers walking by and saying hi to me. I had walked out of that building as an employee and walked back in as a business owner, and that felt very powerful to me. And that was just with cash. And that was incredible to us. Because we haven't had that. We have been struggling for such a long time, working two full-time jobs that we had, and we were still struggling. And then suddenly here comes this thing, and now we're making this extra money. What? Right, it sounds amazing. Sounds like, oh, so good. Everything must have been awesome. No. Okay, so I think 2 months after I quit and, was doing okay with the business and making extra money from home, and everything was going as planned. And my husband was fired. And there went that income. And we sat down, and I was like, well, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? And I was pleasantly surprised when he said, we're going to build our business. We're going to work. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we did. Was it always easy? No. There was one time I will never forget. We were down to our last $20. Our last $20. And we had to make a decision. Are we going to go to the store, spend $10 on groceries and then $10 on gas? Or do we put the full $20 in the car as gas money and then go to the mall with a box? I had one box of wraps. It was full. There was 4 in here. And I said, and take that risk and go to the mall with our entire family and talk to some people and see if we can wrap them on the spot and make some extra money. Talk about faith. What? Who does that? You know, the safer thing would have been $10 in gas or $5 in gas and $15 at the store. But, you know, that day something told me just do this. So we put the full 20 in the car, made it to the mall, and God is so good because we sold an entire box. This whole thing was sold, and that was an extra $100 right there. We had 20 that morning. And at that moment, it clicked for me that doing this and doing it right and talking to people and sharing with people, we would never be broke. It just wouldn't happen. Does it get frustrating? Yes, sometimes. Especially when, you know, you message a friend or someone you know and you're like, hey, look what I'm doing, and you're all excited, and you message them and you've worked on making sure, you know, that you've done it right and you said all the right things, and then they ignore you and they don't respond, and then you take it personal and it hurts your feelings. It still bothers me, but that's just the way people are. Or, you know, you're building a team and everything's going great, and then suddenly someone quits. And it's like, oh, right? So there's that. But then it's also exhilarating because looking at where we came from, you know, and I will never forget what preceded this was, we know the adult annual bailout fund, as I call it, is the tax refund check. So before I started this in March, I started March 22nd. Right before I started this business, we had planned a trip to Miami, and we planned it completely with our tax refund money. Okay, so I think it was, what, $2,000 that we had. And I told my husband, listen, we struggle enough during the year. We're going to take a quick trip to Miami, and we're going to have a blast. We're going to do whatever we want. We're going to blow this money. We're going to stay in a nice hotel. We're going to celebrate. We're just going to enjoy life. We're going to have fun. And that trip to Miami totally changed me. We went to Miami. We had the best time. We stayed on South Beach. We went to the beach. We got up when we wanted to as a family. We moved when we wanted to. We went where we wanted. And money was not a care because we knew we had this vacation fund. And it just felt good. Like really good to experience that. And once I did, going back to a regular 9-to-5, it just wasn't happening. I was like, no, you know, I'm here every day. I work, and I work hard. I mean, I worked really hard at that job. You know, they would say, oh, you got to call 100 students in a day. I was calling 150 just because, you know, because I was always that person that wanted to exceed expectations. You know, I was turning things around. I was working with some of the most troublesome students, and I was doing well. And then when it came to the end of the year, when it was time for a raise, I mean, 50 cents is what it added up to, or something crazy like that, $1. And I mean, some people didn't even get that and were in tears. You know, some people were getting 25-cent raises and celebrating that. And I realized, like, no, this is not life. I was not born for this. I was not born to work simply to pay bills and struggle the rest of my life. And I did something about it. And I was broke. We were broke. I didn't have the time to do this. I was working full time with 3 kids, a husband, a house, and a dog. I did not have the time to do this. I didn't have the money to do this. And those were all the reasons why I had to do this. You know, I mean, that's just what it was. And now here we are 2 years later. And life is different. Life is very different for us. We now live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that was something on the checklist. We wanted to move closer to my husband's aging grandmother so we could, you know, be near her and help. Our children have their own backyard now. You know, that might not seem big to a lot of other people, but that's a big deal for us because that was something we couldn't give them before. We did not have before. We have more fun as a family. You know, and by fun, it doesn't mean that we have to go and spend money, but we just have time. You know, before, after school looked like pick up my kids, rush to pick them up because they were in an after school program and daycare. Rush to go pick them up to make sure you don't get charged extra fees for being late. Rush back to pick up my husband from work. Rush home, cook dinner, get baths, put them to bed, eat. Put them to bed. That was our family. My husband and I would stay up 30 minutes, talk about our day, vent about, you know, this coworker and that coworker, and then fall asleep. And repeat every day. And now it's different. Now a day after school is more pick them up, decide what they want to do. Maybe they want to go to the park, or they want to, you know, go check something out, go to the movies, hang out, come home, go swimming in the pool in the backyard, you know, whatever. We laugh more. You know, we laugh more now as a family. We talk more. I know my children. Like, I know that I know my children. I get to volunteer at their school, and that's something I always wanted. I always wanted to be that classroom mom because growing up, I saw other kids had that, and I didn't because my mother and my father were hard workers, and they couldn't come to school during the day like other people's parents. But now we can. I can volunteer at their school. We can be there for our family members, extended family. You know, travel. We can dream, which that never happened before. It was like, you know, go to work and you're in this rat race for so long you stop dreaming because you're always this, you're always rushing, you're always doing this. But now we're dreaming. I mean, you know, and to hear my kids dreaming, like they're just like, woo. When I hear them talk about things, it makes me realize that we're not dreaming big enough, you know. We have hope. We have hope. We have, how can I put it? It's like you just know that you know that you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path, that this is where you need to be. And the best part of all of that, is that through this journey, we've been able to help other people also dream more. You know, we help other people dream more. We help other people achieve their goals, and that's very exciting. And that's how we win. We win by helping somebody else win. Who wouldn't want that? That is just incredible to me. And that's really the tea that I wanted to spill. It was our story, where we came from. I think sometimes people see on social media and they're like, oh, you know, they must be doing well. But, you know, we're still on our way. We have a lot of goals. We're just getting started. And we've got a lot of goals. We got a lot of things we want to do. We still have student loans that need to be paid off. We still have a lot of dreams to fulfill. But now we have hope that we didn't have before. And so I'm not saying that everybody's journey has to be like mine. I'm not saying you have to quit your job and all that stuff. But I am saying give yourself a little hope. Give yourself a little more fun, you know? Don't take away more time from your family looking for a part-time job to make up for the income that your full-time job doesn't pay. Take a risk. Hire yourself. This business is it's different. You know, it's different. It's just different. There's something very different about this business and other businesses that you might have heard of or seen or whatever. Anyway, y'all, I could go on all night long. I know I took y'all up, down, back, forth, A to Z, then back to C, and but I just wanted to keep it real and keep it straightforward. You know, this was not planned. It's not scripted. It's just me just sharing with y'all some of our experiences so far, because it's too often I hear people say, I can't do this because I don't have money. I can't do this because I don't have time. I can't do it because I'm not a salesperson. And I'm like, I didn't have the money. I did not have the time. And I'm not a salesperson, but I'm doing it. I've been doing it for 2 years, and our life is different because of it. And so I use all of those things as not an excuse, but as a reason. The reason why I need to do this is because I have no money. The reason why I have to do this is because I have no time. Okay, I went from not having any time to now having so much extra time, I got to find ways to fill it in. You know, I took a bet on myself. I prayed on it, and I moved. Action. You know, and so anyway, before I let y'all go, I just know I'm so blessed. So blessed. This company has blessed me, my team. I know, you know, sometimes they hear me say I love y'all and you guys are like my family, and they probably just, you know, but I mean that. I love every single one of them. They're my sisters, my brothers, their children are my nieces and nephews. You know, it's a family, and I love them, and I love to see them succeed. And I put myself down in the trenches to see that happen. And it's fun. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I'm not one of those stuffy shirt corporate America types. Like I tried it, and it's just not for me. I like freedom. I like to be able to come and go. That trip we took to Miami that time with $2,000 budget, I mean, we just felt like we were balling out. It was just so much fun. And when our children would say, can we get some ice cream? We didn't have to, well, y'all, you know, we can get ice cream, but it was just, yes. Mom, Dad, can we go to the zoo? Yes, let's go. Can we go? Yes, we can. And I've never wanted to get to the point where I had to tell my children no simply because of money. And I'm very thankful that my friend was annoyingly posting before and after pictures on Facebook. I'm glad that my friend sent me an inbox and asked me to host an online party, even though I didn't know what the heck it was. I'm thankful that even though I was scared, that I did it. And I am so thankful for our journey so far, and our testimony is only going to grow from here. So thank y'all, all of you, for taking the time to tune in with me. This was very impromptu. It was just after getting a few messages from people, I just thought, you know what, I need to just keep it real and spill a little tea. Okay, this is the mama who depended on food stamps to feed her family. Okay, and I was very thankful for that. But I thank God we're not there anymore. God is just really good. Just really good because we said yes and because somebody asked. Anyhow, y'all, it's been what, 35 minutes together? Dang, I can talk. But thank you for joining me tonight. I'm just spilling the tea. If you have questions, if you found me on Facebook, inbox me. Comment on the post I put up. Or if someone from my team invited you, get back to them. If anything that I said sounds like you, inbox them and ask them seriously to tell you more about this business. And I can't wait to have y'all on board and see what we can do together. Thank y'all and have a beautiful Tuesday night.